Hello. Today we revisit an old r/AskReddit post to see what you think most people are pretending to enjoy. Make sure to comment anything you pretend to like. With that, sit back and enjoy. LinkedIn. Accurate. It's like an office party you don't want to attend but need to so you can network. So many times I've been in my office since coming back from lockdown, and I've wanted to say, look, can we cut the office chat, and if I ask you how your life is going, can you give me an honest answer? LinkedIn takes the vacuous nature of being in an office and multiplies it by 10. The virtue signaling people do on there just to feign the value they think they offer to the world is an issue that people have allowed to go on way too long on social media. I like that nobody has any objections on this. It is cringe how fake LinkedIn is. Especially when they share some wholesome story with a picture of them smiling. LinkedIn is the biggest self-fart sniffing contest in existence. It's salespeople trying to sell shit to other salespeople. Long-ass, boring videos of their friends' kids. When someone asks me about my kid, I just show them one photo quickly and that's it. I know how much I hated when people start scrolling photo albums. There's a girl I work with who a female 29 years old, thought was my age and childless for almost a year. We just chatted like people. Then one day she randomly mentioned her son and I learned she is 42, and married, with 2 sons. Work is such a trip like that. I'm friends with 22-year-old new grads but also with grandmothers. So many people don't look like the age you expect them to be, especially if you're usually wearing masks around each other, so it makes things even more confusing. Playing tag with a 4-year-old. You have to let them win all the time to not make them cry. You have to run really slow and you have to look like you're enjoying it. Playing hide and seek also. You never know who's hiding or who's seeking. My kid likes to tell me where he's gonna hide. I work with 4 and unders, I don't let them win tag or other games. I'll do things to make it more fair, but I never let them win. If they cry, they cry. All part of learning. My 3rd grade teacher followed this path. Once a week he'd break out a bunch of chessboards and have everyone pair up to play each other, and he let us challenge him too. He would always win. Even in the mornings before school started, all the kids would play 4 square on the court, and even when he had a broken hand he'd play with us and no kid could ever beat him. He was a real cool guy and a good teacher. Toddlers. Are they drunk college students who keep darting across the street to say hi to friends, or high-energy dogs that manage to eat all the good treats hidden in the cabinet at once? The world may never know. I may or may not have seen a few videos about sheepdogs the other week and implemented some techniques. Don't tell his mom. Baby showers and reveal parties. I feel like those are just excuses to have get-togethers. Yeah, get together and buy me a bunch of ducking gifts. My mom called them fundraisers. She's not wrong. My job threw me a baby shower when my wife was pregnant, which was very nice of them, but I had never heard of the guy being given a shower. My coworkers started inviting other departments and I was like, guys, I don't even know those people. They responded by saying the quiet part out loud, we're trying to get you as much stuff as possible. Podcasts where the hosts just laugh at everything other hosts, or guests say. Nothing is that funny for that long, dude. By the way, what happened to all those good National Public Radio or any NPR-like podcasts? It's like instead of the hosts presenting a topic, it's now the host experiencing the topic with the audience. I mean, on stuff like Planet Money you now hear weekly a host literally say, wait, what? During a segment. It's like all those podcasts changed to that format. Radiolab is another good example of this. Maintaining their jobs as YouTube, TikTok, Instagram personalities. I briefly had mild success with a channel on YouTube 10 years ago and it was nowhere near the level things are now. And I see the production value and the regularity of some of the content. And I just think how much pressure these folks feel to feed the machine or perish. Being a content creator sucks. When you start, it's kind of a passion project, which is great. Ideas are fresh, and inspiration comes naturally. When you get traction and find a formula that clicks, it becomes more about pushing content that generates as much traffic, likes, shares, and subs as possible. When this happens, your original ideas become more and more manufactured and less authentic, which takes the joy out of the creative process, making it feel like a job you hate. You see YouTubers starting off doing things they like, then all of a sudden, one of their videos gets a ton of likes and that becomes their niche and about all they do for the next few years. You see it with a lot of Minecraft streamers where they only play the one game for years. One of the creators I like started off playing games for YouTube and then he made a video where he taught how to build a PC that got a lot of likes. Now all of his videos are PC build guides because doing what he loved wasn't getting him good money. At some point, if you have enough of a following, the amount of time you spend making content is very likely more than a full-time job. I imagine that even if it's content you enjoy, you'd get burned out really fast. I think about this all the time for streamers that play a specific game. I cannot think of a world more hellish than being a successful professional League or Hearthstone streamer and being forced to play every day for 8 to 10 hours. Some of these people are going on past a decade of just playing the same game every day all day. I used to have a decently sized following online for my art. Not super popular, but popular enough to start getting tagged and do a couple of collabs with actual big artists. Maybe if I kept it up I could have turned art into a full-time job. Shit, I've always wanted to draw comics and do animation for a living, but I got massively burnt out less than a year after my page started gaining traction. It was a constant battle to focus on what was giving me the most views, likes instead of actually practicing and improving in my weaker areas, and I was always working on something in my free time so I would have something to post. I was always trying to outdo myself too, so if one post didn't get a ton of attention I'd get really hung up on it. I deleted my page in 2018 and I want to say that was the best decision I ever made, but to this day I still haven't been able to complete a single drawing. I've ironically grown to just hate all my art because I'm so hyper aware of all the flaws in it now. For some reason my dumbass is still considering making a new art page once I can start completing drawings again. Having a job. As someone who hates working I'd say it depends. I've done volunteer work I have loved and stayed longer than my shift, but my real job I do not like at all. Same here. I think it's the line of being appreciated and not being appreciated, reward and no reward. The volunteer work I've done is both of those things. Humbling even. You leave certain events seeing your life in a different perspective. My job is exactly that, a job. It only has a reward with a sprinkle of appreciation in between. I don't know, just my opinion. I genuinely enjoy having one because it feels like I'm doing something with my life. When I'm unemployed, I literally just watch shows all day and feel disappointed with myself. I'm completely the opposite. Of all the things I want to do with my life, zero of them would enable me to make money. Some years ago I was unemployed for almost 2 years. It wasn't by choice. But it was the absolutely best 2 years of my life. I was much more focused on being healthy as I exercised a lot and eat more healthy food. I spent more time with my family and just had much more energy to take care of myself and people around me. I also took up most of the chores around the house and did various projects like building a shed and other stuff. I loved it. If I ever win a lot of money I'll quit my job immediately and go back to living the way I love. I kinda hate life as I feel like it's being wasted of earning money to people, companies who already have plenty of that. I just earn enough to keep myself alive so I can keep going to work. Clubbing. Got to have a good group of friends or else it's just paying too much for drinks. In my 20s I loved it, so much potential. In my 30s I tolerated it. Now in my 40s and thank God I'm married and don't have to do it. Your boss's jokes. Spot on, sir. Live action remakes. What's not to love about a movie that's longer, has less expression, changes the original ending and message, features actors that can't really sing, and only exists to remind you of a better film that came out 25 years earlier? Right? I especially love the over-reliance on CGI that looks bad now and will look even worse as time goes on in an effort to translate 2D character designs into 3D where they look more like sleep paralysis demons than the cute cuddly animals they were originally designed to look like. Anything that requires an insane amount of waiting in line. Amusement parks, brunches at fancy places, nightclubs, etc. Like, you're engaging in a barrier to make the thing you want seem worthwhile. I don't know, I despise lines. I once went into an amusement park on a cloudy day with occasional rain. It was literally the best experience ever. There was this roller coaster that normally was really popular with probably over an hour of waiting time, but on this day, nobody was there because of the shitty weather. The wait in line was like 5 minutes max. I rode that thing like 5 times in under half an hour. Literally the best experience ever. We were extremely lucky with the weather. Agreed. There's a psychological basis for this. Saw it in a TED Talk once, don't have the link. I think it was Robert Spolsky's work, but could easily have been Dan Gilbert or Laurie Santos. But basically, if you measure the brain's reward response before a pleasurable event, not adult fun time, like buying something or eating tasty food, you would expect to see the pleasure and reward response spike when the event occurs, stay elevated for a while, then slowly taper off. That's not true. It turns out the pleasure response builds before the event, and is actually highest right before the event occurs. Once the event happens, the reward response drops almost immediately back to baseline. The waiting and anticipation is actually more satisfying to our brains than the actual event in some cases. Some of our primate ancestors showed the exact same response. Surströmming. There is absolutely no way people in Sweden actually enjoy this can of puke. Edit. As people are telling stories about their experiences with surströmming, I want to tell one of my own. Once upon a time in Sweden, a mild summer in August, my family decided to host a dinner at our house for our friends. We had a lot of food of different kinds on the table, and our friends brought some food with them as well. The weather was with us, so we decided to eat on the porch outside. As we were getting ready to eat, we decided it was time to open the cans. Oh God! What occurred after have been stuck in my head for ages. First came the smell, some of us almost puked, others kept their stoic faces on. But the craziest ones of us took a deep breath and said, "Delicious." Shortly after, the invasion started. Hundreds upon hundreds of flies. There was chaos, crying, despair, and my father screaming, "We have to get away from here." We all grabbed what we could take and ran inside. Watched trough the windows as a cloud of flies descended upon the rest. Heavy sigh. Ah yes, Sweden. Surströmming is terrible. However, at the end of the pandemic, we were having trouble maintaining enthusiasm and motivation at work. My colleagues were financially destitute and the future was uncertain. Nobody wanted to be around others, which was a concern. I make tattoos for a living, and part of the job is keeping people laughing and keeping morale high. So I decided to order a can of surströmming and take one for the team. We gathered outside as I cracked the can, under a bucket of water. The stench could only be described as foul. Think of every description of adult funtime panther in the film, Anchorman. But everybody was curious, and it got every one of my colleagues and their clients out into the backyard in a show of solidarity, or to watch me make a cunt of myself. As soon as the can was exposed to the air, the flies descended. Hundreds of them. People gagged. The smell was somehow worse around 5 meters away, rather than ground zero. But I held down my vomit and I ate that rancid fish, thereby putting a smile on everyone's face that day. We bonded over the smell of rot, and somehow it brought morale back. Surströmming has its uses. American talent shows like quite literally, America's Got Talent, and American Idol. Who the duck are these shows catered to? The dialogue is cheesy, idiotic, and fake as duck, and the structure doesn't make sense. Back then it had categories and the contestants would compete against their own groups, which at least made it somewhat interesting. Now? Anything ducking goes, and you could have a wannabe Jabavotsky dance group of about 20 people versus little Timmy playing a harmonica with his asshole. It makes no goddamn sense. But little Timmy was born with a rare condition that doesn't allow him to blow enough air out of his mouth while his lips are pursed, so he has to use his asshole. His harmonica was his only friend growing up. Heart-touching, really. Thank you for watching all the way until the end, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment anything you pretend to enjoy. Click the video above if you want to continue to watch my content. Until next time.